Hey guys, welcome back to the Nonary game.
Well, I can't say for sure, of course, but it seems likely. I don't know. How am I supposed to decode it? I don't have the key. Without a key, it would take literally hundreds of years to decode.
I feel like
What about you,
that's not true.
Well, if Alice doesn't know how, I sure don't.
See.
Not much we can do then. We can come back to that coast stuff later. I got another question. Alice Clover, who are you? He's asked that so many times.
That's...
You told me your job was to eliminate enemies of the state or something like that. Just what the hell kind of a job is that? I think it's time you told us what you do.
Sorry, but I can't.
Why not?
Because you might be one of them. You might be the person who set the bomb.
That's idiotic.
Really? And where's your proof? For all I know, you're my enemy. I can't tell you anything. I'm sorry.
She kinda sucks. Why?
How long are you going to keep following me? Then why don't you just ask Clover? You already know she works with me. Then why don't you... Why?
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I wanted to pick her because I wanted to spend time with her.
Oh, right, because you like Alice, even though she sucks.
What are you talking about?
Well, her cup size, for instance. Probably double D.
Why are we talking about this?
Maybe a triple.
Okay.
You don't hate me?
So it'd be an F cup.
Oh my god, get over it.
I tried to kill you. Yes. I was so scared. Who wouldn't be? Kidnapped and locked up, forced to play some sort of bizarre game, and then we found that bomb. I know I probably sounded calm, but as soon as we found that thing, all I wanted to do was run away from it as fast as I could. Things just went downhill from there.
Well, that was a wrong choice.
I remember hearing that Quark had collapsed and running to the infirmary with everyone else. When I got there, I realized I couldn't understand what anyone was saying, and everything looked... I don't know how to describe it. It was like watching a video on fast forward, only it was real. Then I started to feel like... It's hard to explain. I guess you could say I didn't feel like I was myself, and it only got worse.
That was
Yes,
probably
I
the
think
Radical
so.
Six.
I don't remember much after that. But when I woke up in the infirmary, suddenly all that fear was back. So all I could think about was getting out of this place as fast as I could. It never even crossed my mind that it could kill you. God help me, even if it had, I don't think I would have cared. See?
I don't think so either.
I'm horrible. You hate me, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Just do it!
Do what?
Kiss her.
Kill me!
Are we on a
Kill,
date?
kill her.
Get it over with!
This is a weird date.
I know, right?
You're lying! I could kill you!
Close up with a side boob.
I'm gonna take this
Why
as
are you
a weird
doing
date
this?
with Alice.
Yeah.
You know, They kind of remind me of my father.
That's always a good thing to hear.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
With girls?
Well, good or bad, depends on.
Yes.
If they had good membership. Membership.
Will you promise not to tell Clover that I cried? If you keep
Come
your
on,
mouth
of
shut,
course I'm gonna tell her.
I'll tell you about myself. And about the Miradons. Really? Good. Alright then.
So where's Quark?
Yeah, where is Quark?
So he's probably
My father is Egyptian, my mother is French.
not surprising.
They met a while. Oh wait, I have to get her voice. This is her voice.
That's what she sounds like exactly.
No. Oh, darling, my father is Egyptian,
No.
but my mother is French.
She does not
And
sound
they
like
met, well, I know, shut up. And my mother was, wait, was it?
in Egypt.
Oh, wasn't Egypt in vacation? They married shortly
You sound like
after.
Mongdal.
Who?
You sound
Oh,
like
Mondal. When I was there, darling, they moved to the U.S. And my father was a scientist. And I feel the cloning, and he was recruited as American. Wait,
By an American lab.
why?
He was hired by an American lab for cloning.
Oh, okay. Both of my parents had used English around me from the time I was born, and I didn't have any problems adapting to it. Life in the United States. But my 9th birthday, we've been there for 6 years, and then when that happened, one day my mother showed up at school. Her eyes were red and puffy. She didn't say a thing to me. That's her mother?
No. That's her mother, the one on the left. The one with the afro for some reason? Not really.
I thought that was Alice.
No. This is when she was young, so she's looking up at the police officer in her room.
Ah, I see. It wasn't until several years later that I finally learned the truth. My father's lab has been attacked by terrorists and been kidnapped. For the first thing my childhood, my mother raised me by herself. I didn't realize it was the most thing had been incredibly difficult for her, a single mother alone in the country. She did her best not to let me see it, but every so often when she thought she was alone, the mask would always fall away, and every line in her face I could see exhaustion and loneliness. As much as I missed my father, it was those moments that made me wish then more than anything he'd never been taken. Fortunately, I was an excellent student, and I did my best with the math, and I earned a full ride scholarship straight out of high school and spent in the next several years. After graduation, I took my job in Department of Defense. Oh, she wants to be a lawyer like Phoenix!
Well, no. Department of Defense is not a lawyer that's working for the government, for defending the U.S.
Don't ruin my moment.
It's not like Phoenix. She's not like Phoenix.
And I immediately signed the Special Office in Internal Security. Their purpose is to investigate and sometimes deal with the terrorist organization and other serious threats in state. I could tell my mother wasn't happy about the decision, but she could remain silent. Eventually, I learned about the terrorists and the organization taking my father, and none of them the Myrmidons. Although the time the name didn't mean anything to me. They were supposed to be human cloning. Specifically, it was the thought that it has been using the clone techniques to copy their most useful members and expand their ranks. The Myrmidons apparently believed that they could have used cloning to create a new race of human. Now, at last, I know that the reason my father was abduction. The commander of the man named. His name is left. His name is left. His name is right. We know his name and his gender, but his appearance or his age. Oh, could he be in here? Could he be Kay? No, the person who left is. Who closely associated with the cult known as the Fruit of the Fall. Providers the funding, but they're trying to pin any misdeeds on the cult leader, and man named Brother is like trying to nail Jello to a wall. Brother is supposed to be fairly advanced in years, and rumors says that he can't even get out of bed. Unfortunately, his mind seems to be sharp as ever. At that point, I hit a wall. I knew the Myrmidons had been behind my father's kidnapping, but that was all I could learn about. Oh, do you remember this, Chris? And then one day I got a tip that some of them were hiding in the building in the Nevada desert. I headed out immediately. On the way there, on my car, the same engine trouble stalled out. I was trying to decide what to do, and when the SUV appeared out of nowhere, I'll give you a guess who was behind steering that wheel. Clover. That was the first time we met. There was 4 other people in the car with her, and when I asked them what they were doing, I got was that just about the last answer I expect. They told me they'd been locked up inside of the building. I had been on my way investigating, and they'd been currently in pursuit of people who have been kidnapped in the first place. Here's your car, Chris. My priorities shifted quickly. You want to see the picture of the car?
Yes.
You remember this?
That could be like anything.
No, you don't remember that? That was in the last game, the very end of the last game.
Yeah, I know. We saw this picture.
After Schwartz's decision, I convinced them to follow to command along. To allow me to come along.
When Clover was telling her story, we saw this picture too.
My hope was that to find the people that were chasing who I was certain were the Myrmidons. And in the end, however, we were unable to track them. In fact, I still don't know where they might be gone. Eventually, I took Clover and her companions to SOIS headquarters. We decided involving the police would be only complete things. After some questioning, and it was determined that the people who investigated the particular event was not connected to the Miriam. We did, however, discover that the mystery disappearance and subsequent reappearance of the several children 9 years prior was connected to Free of Soul. There was also 6 persons in the SUV, although they weren't riding in it per se. A middle-aged man who was just called H, however, for now had bound the place in the trunk. According to the 4, he had been disappearance of the children 9 years earlier. We also learned his company major player of the world stage. It was effectively controlled by Free of the Soul. More specifically, I suppose, H was the member of Free of Soul and committed to their case. So he can kidnap those children. Apparently, it's been part of the experiment and designed to test the ability of certain people to access what's called. I don't imagine you've heard of this before. I'll try to give you a quick narrow down. Simply put, I'm tired.
At last I had a chance to find out what had happened to him. I wouldn't let that chance pass me by. Perhaps that was what was keeping me from noticing the truth. That he was dead. The whole operation was a trap, never mind. The lab was fake, Clover was captured almost immediately. I got there as fast as I could, but when I arrived, the building was only an empty shell. All the conspirators who had pretended to be researchers and the like had already fled. I searched frantically for Clover until at last she was in the basement. She was tied to a chair. On the floor next to her was another body. It was my father. He looked as if he had just been dumped there. When I got to him, his body was already cold. He was covered in dark, ugly bruises. It wasn't until later that I learned he had died from ruptured organs and internal bleeding. They had beaten him to death. Well, that's pretty bad. As soon as Clover had been captured, a Myrmidon in mask had come to visit her. He said that unless he wanted to end up like my father, she would leave them alone and tell the masters at the SOIS to do likewise. In retrospect, they must have known who I was and who my father was. That was why they killed him. Perhaps they thought they were sending a message to me. Or that once he was gone, I'd lose my reason for chasing them. They were very, very wrong. I took Clover with me and left. She looks like Wendy from Wendy's. I tried to console myself with the fact that I had at least been able to save her. Sometime later, I received a call from the coroner. He told me there was something I needed to see. There in the morgue was my father, cold and pale, on a steel table. I could barely stand to look at him, but the coroner insisted. On his arm were 2 rows of numbers comprised of 8s and 9s. It took me a moment to recognize my father's handwriting. He had carved them into his own skin. On his chest, another message, but they were letters this time, not numbered, not many, just enough to make a short sentence. I love you, Alice. I broke down crying right there in the morgue. They were the first tears I'd shed since the operation had started, and there was no stopping them. There would be no forgiveness. Not for the monsters who put my father through this. They destroyed my family. I would make them pay even if I had to die to do it. That night I made a promise to myself. I would avenge my father. It didn't take long to figure out that the numbers he'd written were latitude and longitude. They pointed to a chemical factory that had been disguised as an abandoned building. Further investigation revealed that it was the mother lode we'd been looking for, the headquarters of the Myrmidons. I think my father must have known how things would turn out. Knowing he was going to die, he'd written the directions to our enemy's fortress on his own body. He'd sacrificed too much for me to waste this opportunity with recklessness. This time, our operation would succeed. This time, I wouldn't let my excitement put Clover or any of my other agents in danger, so we took our time, gathered information, we did our research, and we planned. Finally, we were ready. December 25th, 2028 was going to be the day we finally set foot inside the Myrmidon stronghold. But then on the 22nd, only 3 days before the operation was scheduled to begin, a man in a gas mask appeared. I wonder if they released COVID. I wonder if they released Radical 6. So you inhaled that gas, passed out, and woke up here in the AV room.
Well, there it is. Everything that's happened with the Myrmidons and me.
It's quite a lot.